You wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so why try to build a business without one? Grow your contracting business and grow your mind with Growth Mindset Monday.
All right. We are back. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Most of this great United States experienced some type of cold this last week, so it's nice that we're kind of coming out of it. I'll be honest with you, it snowed all day Friday, and I was like, please, sunshine, come back out. And the sun is out today, so it's going to be an amazing week. All right, you guys know the drill. If you are here live, go ahead and drop your name, your business name, and where you're from so we can give you a shout out. You know, there's a funny thing that happens, and I'm going to say in the world of people who like to get behind a microphone and in front of a camera. You never know where that path is going to lead you, right? There's some folks, and I'll leave the names out of it, but there's some folks who have managed to make a career out of being in front of the camera, and they've done pretty well for themselves. There's some folks who have become too controversial, kicked off certain platforms, started their own, and been more successful. And in fact, there's one individual, we'll just call him Dan, that is his real name, who let's just say was ostracized for his viewpoints on transparency and whatnot, and now is going to be working for the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Go figure, right? This should be fun. So I'm really excited to see where this one leads us. But more than anything, you guys know why you're here. You're here so that you can get the tools, the skills, the mindset, the training that you need to continue to grow your contracting business. I want to start out with a little story, as I usually do. This weekend was kind of a strange weekend for me because for once, my phone didn't ring, didn't buzz, no emails. It was a strange weekend. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're in the thick of things right now. Your phone is at your hip. That thing's buzzing at 2:00 in the morning and 2:00 in the afternoon. That thing is constantly notifying you of the things that you've done, need to do, and haven't done, right? There's people constantly vying for your attention. And ultimately, it's wearing you out, right? Now, I came up with a couple questions that I want to ask you guys. You can nod your head. You can drop an emoji in the chat. Either way, we're cool with it. If you remember, what's his name? Jeff Foxworthy, right? The comedian, the country comedian, the big old stash, right? And he had his little thing. You might be a redneck if, right? That was his thing. Well, guess what? We've got a few for you. You might be a contractor if. But before we get started again, we got Chad Cranfill. Great to see you again, my friend. Cranfill Construction from Southeast Indiana, residential remodeling and construction. Welcome to the show, Chad. So you might be a contractor if. Now I'm going to read these off and you tell me how many of these apply to you. You might be a contractor if your front seat doubles as your office. Right? Your passenger seat's covered in receipts and estimates, coffee cups, energy drinks, right? Instead of people. You might be a contractor. Number 2, you might be a contractor if your cell phone battery never makes it past lunch. Right? Your phone's always dying before noon because it's your scheduling tool, it's your client contact, it's your time tracker, it's your GPS. and you're constantly on that thing, right? Some of you have figured out how to get a battery charger so you can carry that around with you, and some of you haven't. But either way, you're a contractor. If your cell phone battery never makes it past lunch, hey, congratulations. I got mine plugged in right now. Oh, the next one. You might be a contractor if you're juggling more jobs than you can count. Like if I asked you right now how many jobs you had, how long would it take you to answer? Right? Some of them are scribbled down in a little paper notepad that you got in your truck. Some of them might be on a computer. Some of them might be in the notes section of your phone. But ultimately, you got different calendars and different locations and different things that you're trying to control. And you're supposed to be at all of them today. You might be a contractor. You might be a contractor if your toolbox is more organized than your week. Ooh, that's a hard one, right? Some of you guys pride yourselves on the cleanliness of your trailer, your truck, your toolbox, right? You got all your tools in their particular locations. And that's a whole lot more organized than your week ever has been, or frankly, ever will be, right? Next one. You might be a contractor if you wear more hats in a day than the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? They got 40 some odd people on their baseball team, and you got more hats than that. Estimator, project manager, bookkeeper, salesperson, HR, hiring coordinator, right? All that before 10 a.m. You know what I'm talking about. You might be an overwhelmed contractor. Next one, you might be an overwhelmed contractor if you find estimates on random scraps of paper. Sometimes your wife pulls them out of your jeans before she washes them. Sometimes they're on the floorboard in your truck. Sometimes they're in the center console. You find them in pockets and random places. You're like, shoot, I forgot to follow up with that person. You might be an overwhelmed contractor if your after hours phone calls aren't really after hours, because let's just be real. You don't have after hours. You have all hours. You're sitting at the dinner table, phone rings, you're on it. You're at the amusement park or the regular park with your kids, text message, you're on it, right? Nighttime, you're on it. Mornings, you're on it. You are always on it. Your spouse hears more from your clients and subcontractors than she does from you. You might be a contractor. You might be a contractor if time with your family, feels like a luxury, right? How many times have you found yourself saying, man, I just got to finish this job, then I can make it to Bobby's baseball game. I just got to finish this job, then I can go out to dinner with the family. I just got to finish this job so I can get back home and take care of that honey-do list. I just gotta, right? It's a luxury to be with your family. Now, that's not what we want though, right? We don't want that. We didn't become contractors for that. Now, I say we for a couple of reasons, right? Some of you guys don't realize this. I'm also a contractor. In fact, we have two companies. I wouldn't recommend doing this, but I've done it differently, which I'll share later. But I've got two companies. We have a company called Summit Partners. It's a construction management company. And then we have a roofing company, which I can't say the name yet because we're still waiting for the trademark. But as soon as we get it, I'll let you know. So we've got different companies that we're running. Guess what? We're contractors just like you. Guess what? We have a lot of the same issues that you do. Or do we? Now, in complete transparency, I'm kind of cheating the system. How am I cheating the system? Well, I'm a freaking consultant who teaches businesses how to get organized and structured so they can continue to grow. I'm cheating the system, right? Both of these other businesses, this construction management company and this roofing company, we are setting up that it only involves me for 2 hours a week. And those are 2 hours a week in meetings, making sure that the team is set up so that we can execute on it. Period. Right. And I'll be sharing some of those insights with you as we continue forward. But understand that your business will only grow to the ability that you have to manage it. And if managing, like for you, looks like constantly on the cell phone, looks like constantly switching out the hats, depending on the time of day or the day of the week, you will never grow your business to the level that you want to. Period. And I want to let that sit with you because I want you to understand the importance of what we're talking about. Everything that we talk about in here, number one is mindset, right? Because you'll never grow past your mindset. Number two, though, is understanding that you are the source of all your problems and you are the source of all your solutions, right? So just be real about that. Now, before we move forward, I want to give a couple more people some shout outs, Bo Flanders. Thanks for shouting yourself out, Bo Flanders. Give us your business name and your location, and we'll be sure to shout that out as well. Eric, do we record these? Of course we do, my man. Oh, there he is. There, look at Eric. Look at Eric. Appreciate you being honest, my man, but I'm going to kick you in the balls a little bit. I'm interested, Ron. I'm actually switching hats and out running 8 active jobs right now. Oh my goodness. Good Lord Jesus. 8 jobs, my man. Some people would say congratulations. I would be like, shame on you, right? Now, this is recorded, so you'll be able to go back to it, and we're going to give you some tips and tricks that you can use so that you're not doing that. We've got Daniel. What's up, my man? Glad to see you again, in here again. Noble Custom Glass, checking in from the mobile office. Appreciate you. Again, if you're here live with us, go ahead and drop your name and your business name, and we'll give you a shout out. Now, we talked a little bit about you might be a contractor if, right? Kind of poking fun at it a little bit. And trust me, I've gone through those phases. Over the years, we've had a landscaping company. We had a remodeling company that we ran. Obviously, now we've got the construction management and the roofing company. Like, I get it, right? I get it. So what do you need to do? That's why you're here. You're not here for me to kick you in the balls, or maybe you are. But more than anything, you're like, what do I do with this? I'm running 8 jobs right now. In fact, I can't listen to this call because I got 8 jobs I got to do. I get it. It happens. But what do you need to do? Okay. Number one, and the most important thing, number one, ready? You got to be able to identify the chaos, right? As humans, we like to think that the things that are distracting us aren't really distracting us. It's the things that are trying to focus us that are distracting us. Your wife wanting to spend quality time, yeah, that's not a distraction. That's something trying to focus you. Your kids wanting you to show up at your baseball game or wanting you to paint their fingernails or want you to play basketball or Legos or whatever, that's not a distraction. That's the thing trying to focus you, right? This thing ringing off the hook, emails, phone calls, text messages, that's distracting you, okay? So the first thing you got to do is do what? You got to identify what the distractions are in your business. Now, listen, you're all at different phases of business. Some of you guys are at the chuck in a truck phase, right? You slap that magnet on the side. It's you. You're rolling. You're the call taker. You're the estimator. You're doing the work. I get it. But again, we're going to share some tips with you that you can use. Some of you guys have multiple businesses and multiple locations. We finally got Bo to cough up. We got Bo Jiffy Heating and Air, Vestavia Hills. I think that's Alabama. Welcome to the show. We got Percy Harris, Percy Map Septic Company. Thank you and welcome. Eric's with Broad Arrow Builders, Edgecombe, Maine, and Sandborg Solutions, Portland, Maine. Oh, my man, look at you. That's the goal, is to run them smoother. Got 30 to 50 hungry guys who keep busy, right? You're all at different phases in business, and that's okay. You have to take what we're teaching you and apply what's applicable right now. If you don't have an office manager, it's probably not the right time to go hire an office manager, right? You have to start at the foundational principles. So foundational principles, number one, you got to identify what the chaos is. It might be the after hours phone calls, text messages, and whatever. It might be the fact that you're constantly putting out fires. It might be the fact that you don't have any organization in your time, so you're constantly bouncing between tasks, taking calls during installation, invoicing at night, forgetting appointments. It might be that you're constantly behind on your quotes and your estimates. I can tell you that I know personally contractors who have sent blank quotes on purpose to buy themselves some more time because they didn't feel like they had enough time to get the estimates out. So they would purposely send a blank invoice out. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones. I'll get that to you. Bought another 4 or 5 days, right? So understand that the first thing you got to do is identify this. Identify where it is that you're falling short, okay? The second thing, and this is the most important for all of you, it's a mindset shift. That's what it is. It's a mindset shift. You have to understand that ultimately, at the end of the day, you're in control. Right? And so here's a real simple one for you. Okay. Number one, who determines when you go out and do your bids or estimates? Who determines when you schedule your jobs? Who determines what hours you work? Who determines when and how you answer your calls and your conversations, right? Who determines all of this stuff? Well, I hate to break it to you. It's not your clients. It's not your customers. It's not the GC you're working for. Ultimately, it's YOU. It's you, right? Now think about this. I'm going to ask you this question. If I was to call you right now on your cell phone, you answer Bob's Builders, whatever your company's name is, and I told you I needed an estimate, what would your response to that be? It would probably be, when can we come out? Who did you just give control to? You just gave control to the person on the phone, right? Versus, and I'm going to teach you this here in a minute, versus getting real focused on things and saying, listen, I'm only going to do estimates on Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. So when Mr. Jones calls and says, hey, I need an estimate, cool. Mr. Jones, are you available Tuesday or Thursday afternoon? Oh, Thursday afternoon. Okay, does 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock work better? 3 o'clock does. Wonderful. I got your personal information, Mr. Jones. We'll see you on Thursday at 3 o'clock. What just happened? Right? We gave the prospect, the potential client, the lead, the perception of control, but ultimately we controlled them, right? So here's how I'm going to show you how to do this. Before I do, I'm going to shout out a couple more folks that have jumped in here. So David Byler with David DNR Commercial Roofing in Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show. We've got Alfie Alexander, ENA Property Management out of Naples, Texas. Welcome. And then we've got Chandra May out of Atlanta. Welcome to the show. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay, number one, and the most important thing, you have to look at your schedule. And you have to look at your schedule of Monday through Friday. Now, if you guys work Saturday and Sunday, that's on you. Let's look at it Monday through Friday, okay? What are the most important tasks for your business? Well, you got to market. You got to estimate or bid. And then you got to do the work that you said you're going to do, right? The most important things. Sure, collect on the money and all those things, right? Those most important things. What you need to do is determine when and how that's going to happen. Every Monday for me, from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock, 3 hours, I'm in meetings. I never thought I would say that, but I'm in meetings, right? But they're purposeful meetings. I meet with each of my 3 teams. And what do we talk about? What's happening this week? When is it happening? What resources do we need to get it done? And sometimes they have all the resources and all the answers they need. We're just reviewing it. Sometimes they need my input or help. Sometimes we have to go outside, right? But what I do is I make sure that my team has everything that they need to get the job done. Number 2, when and how is it happening? For each of our businesses, we have set times to do set things. In other words, when we're marketing, it's during very specific times of day. I like to schedule marketing during the lunch hour. Why? Because people eat lunch, right? So I can take people out to lunch. I can take people to coffee shops. I can go bring people things, right? And I know they're going to be available because I have the thing that they need at that time. Food, okay? That's when I schedule my marketing. When do I do bids and estimates or tell my guys to do bids and estimates? I tell them to do it in the morning. Why? Because that's when people are more awake and ready to go. Sometimes it's later in the afternoon, okay? But if it's early morning or later in the afternoon, that leaves the rest of the time as work-related time. If you have an office manager or somebody calling, okay, what should they be doing? They should be putting people into your calendar when they need to be on your calendar. My appointment setter knows my calendar. Not only does she know my calendar, she knows exactly when to put people into my calendar because I've set that up ahead of time so that I know that my day is not going to be full of randomness. I know that my day is going to be very purposeful on what types of conversations I'm having and who I'm having those conversations with. So I want you to think about you and your business right now. Number 1, do you have a calendar or schedule? Do you? And I don't mean a calendar where you just dump things and dump people in. I mean control of it. Like you have a set specific time of the week, couple hour block, whatever you want to call it, where you're doing these different tasks, where you're marketing, right? Where you're estimating or bidding, where you're selling, where you're getting the work done. Guess what? People care that you answer the phone quickly. Yes. But people don't care that you're there in 2 minutes. right? Sure, if it's an emergency and if that's your style of business, well, that's a different conversation. But for most of you, this is the conversation, right? The conversation is, how do I have my schedule work for me instead of me working for my schedule? So here's what I need you to do. I need you to take control of your schedule. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to prioritize your tasks. In your mind, what's the most important? Now, from my perspective, here's some insight. Your MGAs are the most important thing. Money generating activities. What am I doing that's generating more money for the business? Because if you're not generating money, eventually your business will die. Okay. Money generating activities. So that's the first and most important thing you got to do is figure out the priority of things that need to get done. Number 2, okay, set realistic goals for when and how you're going to get that done. Okay. This is called time blocking. Now, some of you guys have been on these calls for a while. You know that I get up at 4:00 in the morning. I don't do it to show off. In fact, I don't do it for any other reason other than I get quiet time to myself. No kids, no wife, no dog, just me. And I have 2 hours every morning that I have for me, which allows me to meditate. It allows me to pray. It allows me to study, i.e. read books, educate myself, all that stuff. And then finally prep and get ready for the day before most people are up. And I'm already rocking and ready to go, right? But I control my schedule. Okay. So you need to start time blocking. When am I going to do my marketing? When am I going to do my bidding or my estimating? When am I going to do my sales? When am I doing my jobs? And as you grow, there's some things you're going to take off your plate. Obviously, if you're running a crew of 10, 20, 30 people, you're probably not doing the work. And that's okay. So that doesn't need to be on your calendar. But if you don't have a project manager, you need to get one. If you have one that you're babysitting, you probably don't have the right one, right? So let's make sure that we spend time doing the activities that are helping the business move forward. Your logo, nobody cares. Delegate it, outsource it, have AI generate it. At the end of the day, the logo is not going to generate money for you. Okay. Now, if you're going to delegate or outsource, here's what you need to delegate or outsource first. I always advise you hire an office admin first. Why? Because most of your time is now being taken up with activities that aren't generating money. Answering phone calls, billing, scheduling, following up, ordering materials, getting your CRM in order, getting your QuickBooks taken care of, right? We can go on down this list. So understand that that's the first thing you got to do is delegate your admin activities. The second thing you got to admin or you got to delegate is your field work, right? We talked about this briefly, but you need a project manager as soon as you can't handle your projects anymore. Why? Because getting the phone calls of, hey, we're short on materials, or hey, there's this change order we got to take care of, or hey, we just opened up this wall and it's supposed to be newer wiring, but it's knob and tube. Like stuff's going to happen on the job site. If you're a problem solver on the job site, you're not a problem solver for your business, right? You can't be doing both. And the third thing that you're going to outsource or delegate is any specialized work, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. I'm not an expert in finance. So we'll talk high level finance, but if you want somebody to help you with QuickBooks, I'm going to send you to Jeremy. I am not an expert in marketing and sales. High level, yeah, I'll teach you how to do everything you need to do. But if you want somebody to set up your Google business profile or create a website for you or SEO for you, I'm going to recommend you to Ryan, right? I understand where I should be spending my time, where I am of most use to my business. And you, my friends, have to learn to do the same. So if you're going to take anything away from today's conversation, here it is. If you keep doing everything, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to get overwhelmed and want to quit, or you're going to drive your business into the ground. Period. But you will never create the business that you're truly capable of creating. So you have to learn how to manage time. You have to learn how to manage your schedule. You have to learn how to manage the tasks on your calendar. And when you do, I guarantee you things will change. In January, I was able to go on we were out of town for 10 days. The cruise was 7 days, but I was out of town for 10 days. 10 days. And guess what? The business kept humming, kept working. We had estimates coming in. We had people taking care of the estimates. We had jobs we were handling. Like everything was happening. In fact, I got more stuff on my phone while I was on vacation. Why? Because I set up the systems, I set up the processes, I set up the people in order to make it happen. Now, if you'd like some more help with this, don't worry, we got you. We're setting up our free online community for contractors and trade business owners. Should be going live probably next week. So stay tuned. We're going to give you all the tools that you need. And by the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, Contractor Plus has a lot of tools to help you get and stay organized as well. All right. You guys know this is quick. This is dirty, but this is meant to get you the information you need that you can apply. And more than anything, get after it. All right. Time to go do what you're getting paid to do. We'll see you guys on the next one.